Here are a couple of William Lane Craig's silliest arguments.
All right, Bill, there are two philosophical arguments and two scientific arguments in defense of premise two, namely that the universe began to exist. Give me a couple of the philosophical arguments.
The first philosophical argument is based upon the impossibility of the existence of an actually infinite number of things.
I don't see why this would be impossible. It certainly isn't a logical problem. The idea of infinity is not incoherent, so why would it be an actual problem?
Now, what do we mean by actually infinite? Well, here mathematicians distinguish between a potential infinite and an actual infinite. A potential infinite is a collection that is growing toward infinity, but it never gets there. By contrast, an actual infinite is a completed infinite. It is actually infinite. It's already complete.
And both of these infinities are logically coherent, so why can't they both exist?
Now, if the past never had a beginning, then there has been an actually infinite number of events prior to today.
Which is not a problem because, as Bertrand Russell said, there is no logical problem with a mathematical series with no first term.
But mathematicians recognize that the idea of an actually infinite number of things leads to various absurdities. For example, what is infinity minus infinity? Well, mathematically you get self-contradictory answers.
A contradiction is a statement that is claimed to be both true and not true at the same time and in the same respect. Infinity minus infinity can be zero, or it can be infinity and other values as well, but it is not both zero and infinity in the same respect. It is zero in one respect and infinity in a different respect. CounterApologist did a great video on this topic. I'll put a link in the description.
The second philosophical argument is based upon the impossibility of forming an actually infinite collection by adding one member after another. This is sometimes called the impossibility of counting to infinity. You can never count to infinity because you can always add one more before you get there. But if you can't count to infinity, how could you count down from infinity? This is equally absurd.
This is only absurd if we assume that what Craig calls the A theory of time is true. This is the idea that only the present is real and future events are not part of reality. They only enter reality once they are reached. This is probably the intuitive conception of time that most people have, but it is hard to square with the evidence for relativity, which seems to show that all points in time are equally real. Events aren't really being added to reality, they all occupy it. Events are not counting to infinity, they are already infinite. Craig's rejection of this idea leads him to reject Einsteinian relativity. I have a video on that topic as well that I'll link in the description. Now, of course, there is empirical evidence that the universe had a beginning in the sense that it is finite in the past, but these philosophical arguments are predicated upon Craig's pitifully ignorant conception of what infinity is and how it works. To everyone who helps me out on Patreon, you're a big help. Thanks so much.